What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I am your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone is doing well on a Friday. We're in the month of August, folks, so you know what that means. We're inching closer and closer to the college football season in 2024. So, yeah, I hope everyone's doing well on a Friday, getting ready for the weekend. And it's always great to be back here on the show with you guys. So very much appreciate it. As always, y'all know where to find us. We're on many different streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So if you like the show, you like what we're doing, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our show on any of those streaming platforms. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you guys. So we very much appreciate you all's support with the show. As always, I'm here with my good friend and co-host. You know who he is. He is Chris Bolton. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, Kory?
Not much, man. Not much. It's been an eventful couple of weeks. You know, we had the release of College Football 25, and I haven't had a life in the last couple of weeks. That game is my life now.
That has been life for the last couple of weeks. Honestly, but ball is life in that sense. It has come in and taken over, and so have I as a coach of a couple of dynasties. So I'm sure you can relate to that, Kory. So
yes.
Things have been good though. It's been a good couple of weeks, and it's really gotten the juices flowing. It makes you just that much more hungry for that much hungrier for football season.
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. It's nothing like getting ready for a college football season by enjoying it with some college football video gaming. It just gets your blood pumping. It gets you ready for your favorite team to go out there and perform each and every Saturday. It gets you in that mood. You're thinking about it.
You're truly getting some scouting in. Like, you're really kind of getting the idea of who can be a problem whenever your school goes up against this team or that team. It's there's a lot of people learning about Barrion Brown for Kentucky because of how fast he is and how much of a weapon he is on the game. And guys like Isaiah Bond at Texas, and
CJ Baxter at Texas.
Right. I mean,
I got some stories.
People are learning just how crazy Ollie Gordon is. Like, that's why he's on the cover of the game.
Yep.
Like, he the Judkins spin. People are learning just how nasty Judkins is now that he's out there at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So, it's been a lot of fun to kind of see people's reactions to how nice some of these guys have been portrayed to be in the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This game definitely gives that. When we talk about the use of NIL with this game, it really brings these players to life. Even on a video game, you'll definitely see it on Saturdays, and a lot of these guys will be making plays on Sundays as well. But for this video game, what it does, it definitely makes all of the players that you mentioned, Chris, just feel like they're real life counterparts.
Right, exactly.
And
I love it too. So it's really been a blast, and it just hungry, just ready for the season to begin. And we have some topics to highlight in regards to the upcoming season, I mean, kickoff is this month. You
Yeah,
know, we're gonna have a game at the end of the month. So, I mean, football's here, Kory.
we here. We here. It's like fall camps here. I mean, it's crazy right now. I'm seeing I'm seeing Dylan Raola. If I'm
Yeah, yeah. The quarterback at Nebraska,
yeah.
freshman QB.
Yeah, you know, Dylan Raola is out here, you know, cosplaying as Patrick Mahomes right now. You know, it's crazy outside.
Hey, look, ain't nothing wrong with it. You know, if I was a quarterback, I would consider cosplaying as Mahomes too. The way he plays, that's not a bad person to model yourself after.
You know, it's not, and I have to give it up to the man. He's doing a heck of a job right now. Like Patrick Mahomes, he could literally take off a day for the Chiefs. He could take off a whole Sunday and just put Dylan Raola out there. I wouldn't even know the difference.
Look, the hair, the mannerisms, the throwing mechanics, it's all there, and it's
I love
crazy.
it.
So, but, hey, I love it too because maybe Nebraska might be back. Nebraska might have themselves a season. If not, they set themselves up for a couple chances at having some great seasons because he's a true freshman.
Hey, I'm feeling it right now. I'm with you, Chris. I'm feeling that feel for Nebraska football right now that I never knew I had in me.
And haven't seen it for a long time, Kory, since we were about 4 or 5 years old. Like it's been a couple of decades, honestly, since Nebraska's been really like that.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think someone like Dylan Raiola can really put a shot in the arm for this Nebraska team. And I know Matt Rule is under some immense pressure right now with the Nebraska faithful. They want to be a good football team. They want to perform. He has a really good quarterback. He has some pieces back. Let's see what happens this year. But yeah, I think if a lot of these teams like a Nebraska really take their fall camps seriously to iron out some last minute kinks, I think the sky's the limit for a lot of teams out there. I mean, well, I've been seeing reports of Auburn, taking recruits away from Bama recently, Chris. So they're getting ready. They're doing what they need to do on
don't be
recruit trail.
shocked.
Yeah, hey,
we know about Hugh Freeze. He's going to win by any means necessary. So it was only a matter of time before we had some recruits being swiped by Swiper himself, especially with Nick Saban out the game.
Exactly.
But Alabama has been, they've recruited very well this offseason. But you will have a few guys migrate to Auburn. It's only right, and it's better for the sport. It's better for the game when Auburn is relevant as well.
Right. So and hey, like I say, the sky's the limit for a lot of these teams. I think Auburn has opportunity this year. They're recruiting well right now. They got some pieces back. Hey, take advantage of that fall camp right now. And once the season starts, put it all on the line. I think
this is where money is made, Kory.
Yeah, this is
right now.
Yeah, very interesting.
This is very big because there's a school out there that nobody has high on their radar right now that very well can have a special year, like similar to a 2014 Mississippi State. A team that if we were around this team and on campus, and we knew like, okay, there's a potential that this team could be really good. Things have lined up. They're experienced. You got a possible Heisman dark horse at QB. Like when you look back in retrospect at that team, you saw there was the pieces there leading up to them having that breakout double-digit win season in 2014. There's some teams like that across the nation that could have a season like that have the pieces in the making. NC State, Virginia Tech, Kansas, and Iowa State. It's a lot of different teams that are good. SMU. There's plenty of teams that aren't just highly talked about, but they have the pieces there. And this fall camp is where money's going to be made, and we're going to see who can, out of that mix of really good teams that could pull it together, who actually will, bring it all together and have that great season.
Yeah, Chris, there's a lot of teams out there that are going to be very talented this year, that have an opportunity to showcase their skills to the world this season. A team that very much interests me is Tennessee. We all know about Nico Iamaleava and what he did in his first start against Iowa in the bowl game last year. I just love his game all around, and something like a fall camp can actually help a guy like him. And just, I know over the summer, he's also excelled as well. But I'm very much interested in seeing what a team like Tennessee does with a guy like Nico. I'm very much excited.
Just look at him, let alone what he did in the bowl game, last year in his first chance to start. But like you said, just looking at him,
Yeah,
he's an athlete.
No, you're right. You're right. So it's going to be very, very interesting what happens this football season with a lot of teams. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I am too. There's there's a guy out there who just hit the portal who could possibly make his way to trying to be another impact piece for a team trying to make the playoff. Ain't that right, Kory?
Yes, it is. That man is Micah Davis. If you're a Utah State fan out there, wide receiver Micah Davis, 5'11", 185, is transferring away from the Aggies. I know you had mentioned this to me a couple of days ago, Chris, that it's looking like Ole Miss is looking like a potential landing spot for Davis. So, hey, just another wide receiver that you just open the doors for, huh, Lane Kiffin?
Man, I mean, as if Ole Miss doesn't already have enough pieces at wide receiver on this squad. They looking at adding more. I mean, they already have Jordan Watkins, Trey Harris. If they mess around and get Micah Davis too on top of that, we'll see. He's in Davis is in the portal. He hasn't announced officially where he's going, but as if Ole Miss wasn't already field loaded with talent at that position. My goodness, like how do DBs stand a chance if they add this guy and he's your third or fourth piece at that position?
I can't tell you, man. It's just, whew, if that happens, you talking about a loaded locker room full of talent at the receiver position. If you're Ole Miss, hey, this is the reason why.
Already top 5. I think Ole Miss's wide receiver room is arguably top 5 in the nation.
Absolutely.
Already. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have to say the number 1 if they add him. This is a guy who was the all conference honorable mention, with Davis. He's been around, but he was all Mountain West honorable mention last season. 36 receptions, 628 yards, 6 TDs. Was a great return man as well, and I imagine he would be used in that capacity wherever he goes in the return game. So this just makes it like, from a game planning standpoint, how do you man up this team? this is really truly going to make it impossible for if a team like an Ole Miss or another team loaded at receiver were to add him. How do you man up against some of these teams when you have guys like that can expose you? Truly 4 or 5 deep at the position at any moment when you're in a spread lineup, shotgun formation. It makes that coverage that much difficult for coordinators when you add a weapon like this, especially to the Ole Miss's wide receiver room.
No, you're right. It makes it that much tougher. I mean, we saw Ole Miss last year. They were slinging the football. You get a guy like Micah Davis, they're going to continue to sling the football with the talent that they have. And hey, in the SEC now, with all of these great teams and great defenses, you got UT, Oklahoma, all of these teams, and just the SEC overall and what they produce defensively. Hey man, you having an offense that's as potent as Ole Miss, airing it out with guys like potentially a Micah Davis. We'll see if that's the landing spot for him. Yeah, they're gonna be trouble. He's gonna be trouble for people, and that Ole Miss offense would be if they make it.
Yeah. So we'll see where Micah ends up going. I'm sure. I think there's also schools like Indiana who are very interested in him before he went to Utah State. So I'm sure that's another university, another school that'll be looking to possibly see if they can acquire him. So we'll see how things play out, where he ends up. But I'm pretty confident it'll be to a Power 4 conference contender. A team that's going to give him the opportunity to continue to make a name for himself, get his NIL money, of course, and also be put in a position to showcase his talents on a higher level and, try to up that draft stock.
No, you're right. You're right. So, hey, he's a heck of a talent. Utah State is definitely going to miss his services there. So it's going to be interesting to see where he lands, and we'll definitely let you all know our thoughts once we get word on where Mr. Davis lands in college football. But yeah, we had to mention that for y'all because it is one of those significant transfer news stories.
Right. One of those late off season transfers that
exactly.
A lot of teams, have their rosters set, but this is a guy that he will have an impact even though he's getting in the portal a little late in the game. He still will definitely find his way.
Right. So yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys locked in on the show to know news about where he lands in the future. So yeah, man. Anything else you want to mention about Micah Davis, Chris, before we move on to G5 sleeper teams?
We can keep it moving. Let's get to the G5s.
All right. So yeah, folks, the group of 5, which for me and Chris is a very interesting part of college football every year, especially now that we're entering in the inaugural 12-team playoff. A lot of group of 5 teams are going to be jockeying for position in getting a spot into the playoffs. And, that kind of had me thinking about what are a couple of sleeper teams that can, try to make their way, try to squeeze their way into this 12-team playoff this year. And I had to think of some, of course, did a little research on my end, picked 5 for y'all on today's show that interest me. To some, y'all may look at it as that's a give me, but there may be a couple in there that you probably weren't counting. So yeah, I'll go ahead and give off my first Sleeper team, of course. Everybody knows what the way I feel about this team. The Memphis Tigers. I think
that was my betting favorite that you would say.
Really? Yeah, man, Memphis. The sky's the limit for Memphis this season. I mean, they have Seth Hennigan coming back at quarterback. It's supposed to be a big year for Seth. Last season he had like well over 3,000 yards. He had 3,883 yards, 32 touchdowns, 9 interceptions with a 70.6 QBR. So that was pretty good last year for Seth Hennigan. So I'm looking for big things for the Tigers. I know they have a couple pieces coming back offensively and defensively, but yeah, I think they're at the top of the list in teams, group of 5 teams that can squeak their way into this new 12-team format for the playoffs. So we'll see what happens, but Memphis is on the top of my list. Next team, Chris, I have. Let me see if this one shocks you or not. The Rice Owls.
Okay. Rice Owls. Yes, sir.
The Rice Owls. Now, last season, and this one was kind of tough. And when I think about it, maybe they're on the outside looking in. Rice and Texas State played each other last season. I forgot which bowl game it was, but I actually watched that game, and I think it was the Celebration Bowl that they played against each other in. If I'm sorry, any Rice Owl Texas State fans out there, if I'm getting the bowl wrong, but I think it was the Celebration Bowl that they played each other in. Rice had lost that game, but they're still. They're still a team that a lot of people are interested in because they still have a lot of their pieces back from last year, and just because their coach,
Mike Bloomgren,
no, I appreciate it. Mike Bloomgren, during media days. A lot of people were, talking to him about the team and everything. And I know he's been very vocal about Luke McCaffrey, the brother of San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, about replacing him. He sounds very excited about this football team and the guys that are coming back on this team, and even the media during media days for the AAC, they actually finished 7th in the media poll. So Mike Bloomgren, he's pretty pumped up for what Rice has this season. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Owls can do this coming season. But I have high hopes for them. And just looking at who they faced this year, their first 3 games, they have Sam Houston State at home, Texas Southern at home, and they have a away game at Houston. I mean, you set the tone right there with those 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much, looking at the schedule, you pretty much have a pretty easy season. I think the only ones that scare me right now is at Memphis.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah. That one's going to be tough. You always got to get ready for the triple option when you're facing the Army. So you got a couple tricky games in there. But overall, I'm looking at Rice as a pretty good team this year if they can hold their own in conference play and just throughout the season in general. So we'll see what happens with the Rice Owls, but they very much interest me this season. So kind of look out for them, see what happens.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Number 3 on my list is South Florida. So this is a good one, Chris, because Alex Golish has been in the news these past couple of weeks off of comments that he mentioned about, the University of Alabama facing the Bulls again this year. I mean, we all know about Alabama last season. Yeah. playing against the Bulls last year down there in South Florida. Well, during media days, Alex Golish was asked about playing against Bama again, and he pretty much told the media during the American Athletic Conference's media days that we don't have to play Alabama. Bama has to play South Florida.
Yeah.
Look, I love that energy. I don't know if anybody else out there, when they heard this man literally go out here and just become bullish, no pun intended, and just really call out Alabama in a way that's like, hey, we welcome the challenge. Anytime that the University of Alabama wants to play the South Florida Bulls, we're ready. We're going to be ready for them. So, hey.
That's an answer that is being made because Nick Saban is not on that sideline no more. I don't think he'd be talking this greasy if Nick Saban was the head coach at Alabama still. That's all I'm going to say.
No, you're absolutely right. But
this is schools trying to they lifted Alabama's skirt. They chin checking them. We finna see what Bama the program is about now, because I'm pretty sure Alabama's going to fare fine against South Florida, but this ain't gonna be the last time someone makes a comment in that similar fashion in regards to playing Alabama.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And look, I love the challenge. I love the challenge. Look, even though we know if Nick Saban was still there, I don't think he'd be saying that. I'm with you, Chris, but hey, you got to get these guys fired up this year. Why not?
Florida has some pieces. They have some talent out there. It's even the guys that get overlooked. Florida's such a hotbed for recruiting and athletes that even guys that you might not make it to Florida State or Miami or Florida, but you at UCF and South Florida, they better than a lot of the guys in the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Athleticism wise. So the pieces are there. We just got to see can South Florida pull it together.
Yeah. And their quarterback this year, Byron Brown, sophomore, 6'3", 209. He's going to be leading the charge this year for the Bulls. Last year, he threw for 3,292 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Has to get a little bit better consistency wise, but yeah, he's definitely going to be taking the reins again this year at quarterback. So we're gonna see what USF is made of. Their first game is against Bethune-Cookman. That's a home game, so they should be able to take care of Bethune-Cookman, and then go from there. Let me just see what the rest of the season looks like for them. The game at Alabama, they have that, and then they have to go to Southern Miss. We'll see what happens with the Southern Miss game. Can they at least split those two away games back to back? And then you have Miami at home. So, and we all know about how Mario Cristobal this year is. He's really trying to, get a grasp with his football team, and I mean he has a lot of players coming back on that team as well, and they're looking at, shaking some things up for the Hurricanes. So, you want to set the tone. If you want to set the tone, you gotta go all out, and you gotta win the games you gotta win. So, hey, I'm giving them probably a little bit too much credit right now just by Alex Golish's comments.
Mm-hmm,
But hey, should I say more? I love the fire that he brought to media days. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but yeah, that's I have you South Florida for a sleeper team. Next, Colorado State, Chris.
I had them as well.
Colorado State. Oh my gosh! Last season,
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you are, because I was looking over a lot of these Group of 5 teams, Chris, and I was just like, man, there are some teams out there that they have some really good pieces to take them far. And I thought about Colorado State last year. I thought about the whole game against Dion. Took us all the way to damn near 2:00 to get to a finish. But hey, we got there.
Yeah, crazy game.
It was a crazy game. So I'm really interested in seeing what the Rams will do this year. They're bringing back Braden Fowler Nicolosi. You remember him last year at quarterback, Chris. So Fowler Nicolosi's back, and yeah, they still have Tory Horton. He's still going to be there. So that's really good. That
Dylan Goffney and Armani Winfield, out of Baylor, transfer from Baylor.
Yeah,
he's out there as well.
Nice. So yeah, I see him. I see him on the roster here. So sky's the limit for Colorado State. This season, they start their season off with Texas. That's not going to be an easy one. And they have to travel to Texas, but
they have a tough schedule.
Yeah, they do. But if they can manage to, I think they have to beat Oregon State at Oregon State.
I think they have to beat. I think they honestly have to beat. They need to beat Colorado. It sounds crazy, but that's a rivalry game. And if they can set the tone and bounce back after that Texas game, nobody expects them to beat Texas. They could make things interesting. This is a Colorado State team that I think will have one of the best offenses in the conference for them. That they'll have, and they can put some points up on the board against Texas. It could end up being a much better game than most people anticipate.
Yeah,
you play Northern Colorado, beat them. If you beat Colorado at home, this is going to be a home game, rivalry home game. If they get the win in this one, man, that can really set the tone this season, especially for a team that's trying to get over that hurdle, Kory.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, so many of their games were close losses.
Yeah, they were.
So many. I believe they had like 5 games that were within single digits that they lost. So if they can get over that hurdle and get the monkey off their back and beat Colorado at home as you continue to go forward in the season, that's going to give them all the confidence in the world going into Corvallis and playing at Oregon State, and can possibly, they can mess around and have a year. I think this offense will be elite in the Mountain West. This is an elite offense. If the defense is good or even average, this team can win 8 games with the average defense, because the defense last year was terrible. But if the defense is just average, I think the offense will be elite.
Right. And that's without a guy like Kamara that in that Colorado game, that man was looking like a monster among me. He's not there anymore now. So, you gotta find some guys on defense to, really make this defense become a lot better than they were last year.
So if they have that, I really like Colorado State as well. So they were there on my radar too, because I think when you go through those lumps and lose games like that, it just builds character.
Right.
I know for myself, I reference Mississippi State a lot. That 2014 squad. You look at that 2013 squad, they took some lumps. They lost some games that they very well could have won, and 13 could have been a special year.
Yeah.
But that's what you kind of go through, those growing pains to set you up for that next season. So I think this last year could have been that stepping stone, and you build character. And you got some guys, I'm pretty sure, that are very locked in this year. And Colorado State could mess around and make some things happen, and it potentially win 9-10 ball games this year.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely agree. So, I can't wait to see what Colorado State does. I mean, they don't have to play Boise State, but they do have.
That's good.
They do have a game on November the 23rd against Fresno State, and
that's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Fresno State's good. Yeah.
Right. A lot of people from the Mountain West. A lot of people out there are saying that along with Boise State, Fresno State is looking at being one of those top teams in the Mountain West Conference. So you got to take care of your business in the Mountain West as well. And I think getting a big win at Fresno State really can show a lot of poise in this team, and it could potentially help them get a chance at probably getting a playoff berth if they handle the rest of their season the way it should be. But like you said, it starts with the defense. Nicolosi, Fowler Nicolosi has to play a lot better this year as well. So we'll see what happens. Last year, he threw for 3,460 yards, 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. So he has to play a lot better this season. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But, anything else you want to add to Colorado State, Chris, before I talk about my final sleeper team?
Nah, I'm ready to see what we got.
All right. So my final sleeper team, folks, for the group of 5 this season is Miami of Ohio. So, the defending champions in the MAC, Chris.
The MAC, baby. The MAC conference, where it's all about the line of scrimmage. You better put your hard hat on playing in the MAC.
Exactly. Like, you go to work in the MAC. No days off in the MAC. No days off. They're coming in with a lot of excitement after last season with winning the MAC conference title. So Brett Gabbert is coming back as the quarterback for the Red Hawks, Chris. Last season he threw for 1,634 yards, 14 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. So he's going to be the main guy on this football team that's going to hopefully lead Miami of Ohio to another MAC championship. So if they can handle their season properly, they also have an opportunity as well. I did notice earlier some notable games, Chris. They start out the season against Northwestern. They have to travel to Northwestern. But that's not even the biggest game on their schedule. September the 21st, they have to travel to Notre Dame. Now that is an interesting game that, maybe you can catch Notre Dame slipping early in the season.
Right.
You are the MAC champions at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, that's definitely going to be a good challenge. That's an interesting matchup because if Notre Dame brings their C game and Miami of Ohio brings their A game,
right?
This might be a game in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Or it very well might be the game in the fourth quarter. It can be a very tight matchup in the waning minutes if Notre Dame doesn't bring it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game that I want to keep my eyes on because a lot of people in the MAC right now, a lot of media pundits within the conference, they're looking at the Red Hawks as a potential team to repeat after winning last year. Hey, if they can do that, and they can do some amazing things like beat a Notre Dame at their field, that's going to be interesting. I'd say if you're on the committee, you should definitely be looking at that when you're looking at resumes. I know a lot last year with people not looking at resumes as hard as they should have. But when you got a 12-team playoff, you really have to look at that and put that into the equation. So we'll see what happens with Miami, but they got a lot of people coming back, and I'm excited to see what happens. See if they can repeat.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like we know what kind of football we're getting from Miami of Ohio. You're going to get very strong O-line play.
Yep.
A very disciplined team, doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
So this is a very tough matchup going up against a team that's just smart and solid. Doesn't give you many opportunities to take advantage of them. And we know in football, a lot of times, if you just take care of business and don't make mistakes, you end up winning the game.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be special. Just don't make mistakes. And that's how Iowa's been able to get away with, what they've been doing all these years, despite some of the troubles that they have had with on offense lately. But yeah. I think Miami of Ohio is a team to keep an eye on and see, can they be, will one of these really good G5 teams pull off the upset against a top tier team? We should be on the lookout for that. The talent pool has been, stretched out. You got a lot of really good guys on some of these, these G5 group of 5 teams, and they're licking their chops to be able to be that team to break through and get in the playoff or put themselves in position, And we have some good matchups this year. So, nobody really predicted an Appalachian State beating the Michigan years ago, but these things are going to happen. So I'm curious to see if it happens this year with the playoffs now being expanded.
Yeah, it's very. I'm very much interested in seeing how this goes down, just because The group of five last couple years have kind of squeaked their way into, or tried to squeak their way into the CFP. We know about most recently Cincinnati getting in there with Desmond Ritter. They had a heck of a season that year. This time with a 12-team playoff, that whole format welcomes more G5 teams in making their case now. Having a like what we're talking about with Miami of Ohio, of them playing a Northwestern and a Notre Dame. Who's to say that they can't beat those teams and show that resume if they can handle the teams that they already play each year, year in and year out anyway. So, that creates a lot of excitement, a lot of spontaneous style events that a lot of fans have been looking for with this playoff format. Now we're in the 12-team playoff. Anything can happen. So I'm interested, just like you, Chris.
For sure. It's going to be fun, and I'll be locked in. I know we'll have our remotes on standby in case someone's in a tough battle with one of these teams that we've mentioned in the first weekend. And you're going to be right in the middle of it because you're in Austin, so you'll have your eyes locked in on Colorado State from the go when they play Texas.
Oh yeah. I have to. It's so many. Just from Colorado State and pretty much like I mentioned Rice, of course. They're a team that has a chance. I didn't even mention Texas State, who beat Rice last year. They have an opportunity. So they're one of those outside looking in teams, potentially, along with a couple other teams out there. I know UTSA has, for the last couple years, they've been balling out of their minds. I know they've lost a couple people, but I think it's kind of safe to say when we're talking about G5, you can't always count out UTSA at all, because you never know. You
never know. Definitely.
You never know. So, and that goes with a lot of other teams. App State, Boise State. So, we don't know what Wyoming is cooking up. Have to look at them. So it's gonna be interesting.
It's wide open.
It's going
to be interesting.
It's wide open, man. But yeah, man. That's that was my group of five segment. Of course, Chris. Now we will cap off the show with a great way to cap off the show. We're getting closer to the 2024 football season in college football, and I don't think we have heard much yet about the actual AP preseason 25 teams, but we have our own that we want to share for y'all. So,
yes, sir. Let's get into it. We're gonna break this down and introduce the top 25 piece by piece. So tonight we'll do 25 through 16, and we'll tackle some more in the next episode. So it's just a little taste. I think there'll be a few teams that might surprise some people with where they stand, where they fall into the top 25, or them being on the top 25. So, let's go ahead and get it started with number 25.
Nice.
And speaking of the state of Texas, we take things out there to Dallas. SMU coming in at 25, first season in the ACC.
Mustangs.
And the Mustangs got the Pony Express. They have my respect. I have we have them at number 25.
Nice.
Then number 24, the Iowa State Cyclones. This is an Iowa State team that they've been building towards this year. A really good, solid squad. Bring back a lot of pieces. I think Iowa State, they can surprise some people. I think they have what it takes to be a really good team this year, and they're in America's conference. Shout out to JP, but that's out there in the Big 12 where anything and everything is liable to happen, and so I think there'll be a squad that teams won't be looking forward to playing because it's the conference is wide open, and Iowa State could be a team that messes around and makes some noise in the Big 12 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going on a run of Big 12 teams. Coming in at 23, the Kansas Jayhawks.
Nice.
Kansas is a team that, they are extremely talented in the backfield. You got Jalen Daniels at QB and what he brings to the table when he's healthy. Um,
Let's hope he has a successful season this year. As with everybody, coming back. But man, a guy like Jalen Daniels. Sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
cut
you
you
good?
off, Chris. But
No. Go ahead.
but yeah, just a guy like him that works so hard that means so much to Kansas. Really, really hope that guy comes back and has a heck of a season this season.
Yeah, no, he's someone that dude he's a problem for defenses when he's on the field, and then you pair him up with Devin Neal and what he brings to the table at halfback. I mean, this a guy had over 1,000 yards rushing last season, I believe. Yeah, 1,280 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns. Um, Neal is a problem. He's tough for defenses to handle. So what him and Daniels can do in the running game will be key in this team's success. I think we got a glimpse of that with how Kansas beat Oklahoma last season, and how that game played out. So this is a Kansas team that won't be walk in the park. They very well can bust this thing wide open in the Big 12 and possibly win the conference. Another team coming up at 22, Oklahoma State. Got the Cowboys at 22. Ollie Gordon, he's going to get a lot of punishment for his offseason this regular season. I mean, carry after carry after carry.
And it's gonna be touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Because who is going to stop Ollie Gordon?
It's good luck trying to stop him. If there's a player who's not a quarterback that can win the Heisman, it's Ollie Gordon. And if Oklahoma State has a great year, you can guarantee it's because Ollie Gordon had a great year. And so I really like Oklahoma State. Team, they made it to the Big 12 championship game last year. They can very well do the same thing again this year.
Mm-hmm.
So be on the lookout for them. We'll see how dynamic the passing game can be. Can they have that balance? Because we know teams will be scheming to stop Ollie. So if they can get the ball spread downfield in the passing game with Bowman at quarterback, then this team, they can be a problem in the Big 12 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 21, I think this is going to surprise some people. At 21, I have Kentucky. I look at this Kentucky team. You got a guy with Deion Walker who's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft and is a Sunday guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a case he's the best defensive lineman, D tackle in college football. Then you look at what they've done in the portal. Kentucky, they are portal U for quarterbacks.
don't know how to do it. I don't know how Mark Stoops does it, man. But he look this is what A&M had wanted before they yanked that contract back for.
Man, Mark Stoops is a menace when it comes to what he's been doing at Kentucky and getting the talent at quarterback. Will Levis, and we know about Devin Leary. Now it didn't go as great as they anticipated with Leary, but he's someone that was a solid quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a guy in Brock Vandegrift. Some people had him as a 5-star coming out of high school, but a definite 4-star prospect coming out of high school. Went to Georgia, transfers to Kentucky to be the starter, and he has an extremely underrated array of weapons at Kentucky at his disposal. Barryon Brown is somebody that I think is a Sunday guy. The speed he has, you just can't teach.
Right.
The fastest wide receiver in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have Dane Key, another very talented player at wide receiver. Had a bit of a down year last year, but I think this offense will be much better. And Kentucky's going to run the football too. Mm-hmm. They have a solid running back as well. With Traynham, who was at Ohio State, transfers to Kentucky, so he's a good player. The guys are there, and Stoops is going to have a bounce back year. So they have the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see if they're able to bring it all together. But I would bet my money that Kentucky has a far better year than what people anticipate from the Wildcats.
Yeah, it's you're right. It seems like I look at Kentucky kind of like how people used to look at Mississippi State, where they're like, oh man, Mississippi State's not going to do anything, and then next thing you know, you start seeing like these athletes on the field, and they're not all like 4 and 5 stars necessarily, but they're guys with a ton of experience. Maybe a couple of them, were high 3 and 4 stars, but you know what I mean. Like these guys, they come in and work now. Like Kentucky, no longer is Kentucky just like a one of those cellar dweller teams.
Yeah. Somebody just chalk up. Oh, that's the easy win.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's not Kentucky.
No, not at all. Not at all. They have now gained that reputation in being a team that's going to be competitive with you. So, no, I definitely agree with you with them being at 21.
And at 20, interestingly enough, it's the team that lost to Kentucky to close their season last year. The Clemson Tigers. Now, I know that might surprise some people that Clemson coming in at 20. There's a lot of high expectations surrounding, Dabo Swinney, and what his team will do this year at Clemson, since they're a team that don't really deal with the portal. That isn't the way Dabo likes to run things. So we're going to see how the rubber meets the road this year and how successful Clemson is after the decade they had in the 2010s. So I think this is a team, they have an elite running game.
Mm-hmm.
And we know we've heard about the quarterback, and they expect him, Cade Klubnik, to take another leap this year. He was a highly recruited, highly rated player coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to learn just how nice is he, and we're going to learn about just how well has Clemson been scouting and recruiting out of high school, because that's all their guys are. They are Clemson guys. So we're going to learn a lot about this team this year, and it starts week 1 when they take on Georgia. But I think this is a solid team, but I'm not I'm not as high on them as I feel like many others around the nation are on
Mm.
Clemson this year. I think they're a good team. I have them at 20 to start the season.
Ooh. Oh man. Hey, you mentioned Cade Klubnik. You mentioned the way that Dabo recruits Chris. I mean, hey, I'm here in the Austin area. You know, Cade Klubnik came from Westlake High School here in Austin, Texas. So, and you've probably heard here and there about what that school produces. I mean, Drew Brees,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
is a guy that came from that school. So, yeah, I mean, when you have guys like a Cade Klubnik that so heralded coming out of high school and all of this high school talent that Dabo wants to focus in on. Hey, he doesn't want to do NIL. We'll see. Hey, does that work for him? Can he make that work for him in this new era of college football? I can see them being at the number 20 position, but it is going to be interesting to see how they manage the season.
Definitely is. They're coming in at 19. Might be a little bit of a surprise for some people as well. Utah. You
Mm-hmm.
got the youth. Got Utah at 19. I think this is a good team. You know, we know what Utah comes to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play hard nosed defense. They're going to make life miserable for you on offense. And then, we have Cam Rising back at quarterback. If he can stay healthy, he's the guy that is going to be the difference in this team being a top 10 team in the nation or just a solid top 25 team. He's the X factor. He's the guy that's going to have to elevate this team to that next level. It's his elite quarterback play. So we'll see. I'm not sold. I think he's a good player. I'm just not sure that Utah has what it takes to be rated or ranked where I expect them to be, because I think they'll be higher on a lot of people's boards as the rankings come to start the season. But I still respect the program enough to have them as a top 20 team. I'm just not as high on them as the others.
No, that makes sense. You got a returning Cam Rising back. I mean, hey, that's good enough, I think, right now to start them at the number 19 position. We all know how Coach Whittingham, coaches these Utah teams. Like he's going to make sure these guys are ready to play every Saturday, Chris. So I think this is a good starting point for them to see where they're at. That hey, they're in the Big 12. This is a new conference now. They're going to see some. They're going to see some people that they've been seeing before that came along the ride with them from the Pac-12. But yeah, I think number 19 for them is a good starting point for this team, and I think they still have some pieces along with Cam Rising to be successful. So we'll definitely see how their season progresses, because I'm interested to see can a lot of these teams from the Pac-12 handle a season in the Big 12, because when it comes down to it, a lot of teams, it's just like the SEC. Everybody's beating up on each other. So I want to kind of see that along with Utah this year.
Right. Mm-hmm. I agree. Mm-hmm. They're coming in at 18. I have Arizona. Y'all know I love me some Arizona. The Arizona Wildcats coming in at 18. Our darling last season. We were on top of calling the Arizona breakout when it happened last year. And I think even despite losing Jed Fish as their head coach, they bring in Brent Brennan as their head coach. This will be his first year there, but they keep the core pieces that you needed to keep for Arizona to continue to elevate. And I think the style of play that last year will continue. This will be a coaching staff that doesn't try to change things up too much and continues to put the guys that they have there now in position to succeed and flourish. Noah Fafita, Heisman hopeful, dark horse. He's an elite player at that quarterback position. He just instantly changed this team's trajectory last year when he became the starter. And I think with another offseason under his belt, he'll be great. Tetaroa McMillan at wide receiver. Dude is an animal, 6'5", and you just throw it up there and he goes and gets it. He's honestly very Mike Evans like, just with that his size and his play style. So those two are going to be dangerous. The dangerous, quarterback receiver duo. And so despite it being the first year for Arizona in the Big 12, they're going to be a tough team, I think. And if they still had Coach Fish, you might I might have them in the top 12 to start this year. But I'm trying to rein in my expectations so they fall in right now at that 18 position.
No, I agree with you. Arizona had one heck of a season last year. Once they figured it out, once Noah Fafita took the reins at quarterback, Chris. Me and you, a lot of times we're talking about that team. They were just so fun to watch. Like you couldn't take your eyes off of them every week. And there were there were a lot of people in the media that they were kind of like talking about them halfway. They will mention them in passing, but it's like, no, do you not see what is going on? This team turned a literal 180.
Yeah.
From those first 3 to 4 games, they turned a literal 180 and became the team that they were at the end of the season. They won. They ended up winning 10 games, did they? 9 or 10 games?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the same team. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kory. They lost to Mississippi State, and we know the type of season Mississippi State had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's how much his team grew from early in the season to how they finished.
Right.
So yeah, no, this is I'm really excited about this bunch and what kind of year they can have.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely be on the lookout for them this year, and then keeping things going. Number 17. This one might stir up some controversy right here.
Get ready.
Yeah, I'm already bracing for impact. LSU. That's right. I have LSU at 17. It's time to have Kory. I know LSU has all the talent in the world. A lot of great talent. The state of Louisiana is chock full of great players. You also have some guys who come out of Texas that make their way to LSU. Very talented roster. But we're losing the Heisman winning quarterback. You're losing an elite wide receiver in Malik Neighbors, who was a top 10 draft pick in the NFL. So you're losing 2 top 10 picks. You also we have some answers. We still haven't got no answers. We got a lot of questions about the defense last year, and this was a team that had a top 5 offense, but the defense wasn't there to match, and that's why they weren't a playoff contender. So we still got a lot of questions that need to be answered when it comes to their defense. They made some staff changes. Will that be enough? We'll see. But the questions that I have about this team, and yes, I know Nussmeier, someone is, people around LSU are very high on. I just need to see it, because you don't just replace Heisman winning quarterback. So I want to see it from this team. I want to see improvement from the defense because of the talents that they have. I have them at 17. But this is a team. I think they're over under and wins this year is set at 9.5. A Bolton's best bet is take the under, y'all. So I'm not sold on LSU being great this year. So out of respect to their talent, I have them at 17. But I can very well see a world where this team is an 8-win team this year.
No, I definitely agree with you, Chris. Yeah, we all know about what we all know about what Jaden Daniels had meant to LSU last season. Him getting the Heisman Trophy award, he earned it. He deserved it. He was playing lights out for this football team, despite what the other side of the team did defensively. With that being said, defensively, like that side of the ball poses a lot of questions for LSU, and I think that's a perfect spot for the Tigers right now. We'll see what happens. Like you said, LSU recruits out of their minds. You know that they're really good at that. And so that's really like the saving grace. If you're a Tigers fan, is that you have a lot of young guys that are going to be coming up, assuming that they stay with the program for a long period of time, that can help this defense. So we'll definitely see, but yeah, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered defensively for this team, not just offensively. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. We'll see. There's a couple of people. Savion Jones, defensive end, is pretty good. Deshaun Womack, both of these guys are 4 5-star talents. Deshaun Womack being a former 5-star, Savion being a 4-star. So you got a couple guys that are sprinkled around this defense that they can actually show off their talents and help LSU on that side of the football. But we gotta see if they can buy in. That's the most important thing. So no, I think you hit the nail right on the head with the Tigers this year.
Appreciate it. And then to wrap up the evening, to wrap up the list for this episode, we got number 16, the Oklahoma Sooners. I think this is a good spot for Oklahoma. This is a team. You got Jackson Arnold, who's a very talented player, starting at QB for them this year. He's someone that will be, I believe, a good dual threat for them at the position. You got some guys at receiver. Nick Anderson. He's the one who is a weapon. He's going to be tough to deal with on the outside. I like his game. He's a big, strong receiver. So, Oklahoma has weapons on the outside. I'm pretty confident that this Oklahoma team will put up points. The question comes at the O-line, and I'm trending up on this team's chances at being good. I think the offensive line will actually be better than what we anticipate. I think we will have some of the questions answered about their O-line. Will it be good enough for them to be an elite team? I'm not there. But for them to be a competitive, good team that, hey, if you don't bring it, you can't get embarrassed. I'm leaning towards them being, like that. So I like this Oklahoma team. We know what Coach Venables is going to bring on the defensive side. I think he will make sure that these guys are ready to go in that respect. And I think Oklahoma will be good. I think Oklahoma fans should be excited for a good team. You hope they can be great. I wouldn't put my expectations too high, but I think you should anticipate having a be excited about being in the SEC and be excited about this team because they should be a good team. But definitely a team that could possibly work their way in the playoff if everything goes right.
No, I agree with you. Oklahoma, they one of the Achilles heels, probably the Achilles heels for Oklahoma, was the offensive line. I don't know if it was just me, but
it can't get any worse than what it was last year, Kory.
I know, I know they can't, but it felt like every time Dylan Gabriel was back there, that man was running for his life.
That's why he transferred, and not only did he transfer, he went to the best offensive line.
Look, that first game, the ball's gonna snap, and it's gonna be like 6 seconds. He's gonna be like, man, I never knew this.
There 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
Man, he gonna go in one of those suites, those nice suites in the Austin Stadium, make him a sandwich, come back, pick up the ball, first down.
Oh man, no, for real though, that is funny. But Oklahoma, I think they have a good team. I think they do have a good team. So I'm curious to see how that O line is because that really can be the difference in the season because they should have a very good defense and they got the pieces on offense. It's just can they win that battle in the trenches?
Right. No, you're absolutely right. So it's they got to get that better this season because especially now you're in the SEC. Guys are going to be attacking you every week. This isn't like playing like your average ordinary Big 12 team. No, you got to come with it.
You thought them Big 12 defensive linemen were getting after it. Man, every weekend in the SEC, you finna go against some boys.
No, sirree. Like that is not going to happen, especially when you have a guy like Gabe Sawchuk, who I love at the running back position. You know, you better have a better offensive line to help a guy like Sawchuk really get downfield for you. So I'm eager to see what Oklahoma does this season, and I want to see if they can actually hang in this league. I think Texas will be fine because it's Texas, but OU, which is a storied program, what can they do this season that kind of sets them apart from what they did prior? Can they handle the grind of the SEC? So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, man.
It will be. So that's gonna wrap things up tonight in our preview of as we unveil our top 25, the breakdown, Sportscast top 25, preseason top 25. I think next episode we really gonna mess them up with 15 through 6.
Oh man, like look, it's gonna be my turn to do it. Look, I'm gonna have some things to say. Both of us gonna have some things to say, but I can't wait for this one. As soon as you give me the floor, I'm like, this is about to be fun. The conversation that we are gonna create, Chris. I'm loving it. I'm excited.
But it's honest and real conversations though, and I'm very curious just to see how the season plays out because it can vindicate a lot of where our initial rankings of some of these teams. So
we're going to see, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So y'all definitely be on the lookout for the next episode as we continue to unveil the top 25 teams in the nation according to us.
Yeah, most definitely. I can't wait. Well, Chris, another successful episode, my friend. Before we get out of here on a Friday for you good folks, let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Man, you can holler at me on Twitter at Chris_Bolton_12. And then on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. Get at your boy. It's going to be, we tweet about everything. Football season's coming up. And then big weekend, if you're listening to this on a Friday, big weekend of boxing on Saturday. I'm tweeting. You'll catch me tweeting about boxing too. We got Bud Crawford going up against Israel Madrimov. Bud's first fight at the 154-pound division. So that'll be fun. So you can holler at me about boxing too, because I'll be locked in watching that as well. So and we love our wrestling too. So it's get at me about everything. College football, the video game. If you want smoke, I give y'all my PSN right now too. If you want smoke in that.
I love it.
I put PSN in while we at it. Trigger Finger Bang. TRIGGAFINGERBANG. Get at your boy.
Nice. I love the wrestling promo from you, sir. I love it. Oh man. But yeah, definitely get at Chris on college football if you haven't already. He's definitely grinding on there, just like I am. And it's a time. It's time, folks. But for me, if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Twitter at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football as we're getting closer to the season coming back. This weekend, we do have a lot of great things going on in comeback sports like boxing, professional wrestling, which is one of my favorite pastimes. We got SummerSlam weekend coming up, so I may be online talking about that. So definitely chop it up with your boy on social media there. So but yes sir. Like I said, Chris, another successful show. I appreciate you each and every week that we do this. I appreciate you fans that listen in to the show. It's definitely worth it. So very much appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it for sure. And just appreciate y'all on this ride with us. And we finna go into another gear. We're gearing up too, just like these guys are. It's about to be go time, baby. So we gonna make sure we keep things coming for you guys as the season gets underway.
Exactly. Well, all right, folks. Until next time, we will catch y'all later. Peace.